Hello, my name is Mike, and I'm doing a thesis on behalf of the Open University exploring the literary representation of First World War aerial combat. The First World War is something that has a tremendously powerful presence in British culture, particularly in literature, but despite a very wide variety of studies that have examined that literature from a number of angles, including many angles far beyond the trenches, there have been virtually no detailed analyses of the particular nature of writings by and about pilots. And that's a shame because it's such a distinct body of work. Whereas normally in literature, we think with the First World War about themes like loss and death and futility, the poems of Sassoon and Owens and books like All Quiet on the Western Front. When it comes to air combat, we have a very different setup. The closest we have to some sort of establishing novel are the schoolboy adventures of Biggles, or the kind of figure we have is the romantic or chivalric idea of a figure like the Red Baron. So I feel this area deserves a lot of detailed study. And hence, I've been making a lot of work examining all forms of writings by and about pilots, not just books, but also combat reports, communiques, diary entries, newspapers, mostly looking at the period during the war itself and the interwar period just afterwards. And I'm doing all this in order to try and explain three crucial questions. First of all, how was aerial combat established as a so much more positive and romantic thing than the rest of the war? Secondly, how did this image, once established, survive for so long when so many aspects of the First World War were being attacked? And thirdly, and perhaps most interestingly, why did the pilots themselves never really seem to challenge this mythology? In fact, if anything, they amplified it. Now, first of all, I want to do this because it's an interesting area in of itself, but I also think it has many wider implications for examining the way that we understand the First World War all the way to this day. Many literary studies have been perplexed by how the First World War, which was once in the 20s and 30s, represented in literature in a great variety of manners, from the positive to the cynical, but today is only ever remembered as being written about in the cynical. And this has similarly frustrated many military historians who have tried to make different takes on the way the First War was conducted, but these have never really been reflected in the literature of that war. I feel by studying this part of the literature, which is an exception to that rule, which is constantly positive and romantic and chivalric, we can gain great insight into this wider mystery of how and why we remember the First World War in the modern day. Thank you.